and welcome to Bethan's Kitchen and Garden. Today I'm going to be planting out my garlic, sowing some seeds to grow on in the greenhouse over the winter, and probably tidying up and doing a bit of weeding. So let's go in the greenhouse and see what I need to sow first. Before I go into the greenhouse, I thought I'd show you the tray of onions that I sowed the other day. These are Elsa Craig, and I've sowed 3 or 4 seeds per pot, and they'll be grown multi-sown and planted out hopefully March or April time. I've just put them in this grow unit just to get them going, really, essentially to get them germinated, and once they're germinated they'll grow on quite happily and quite slowly in my greenhouse throughout the winter. So I'm all set up in here now. These are the seeds that I want to sow, and here are the cell trays that I'm going to use. I've got the remaining Elsa Craig onions. I might as well sow them, there's no point in keeping that small amount in the packet. I think there's about 4 broad beans in there from what we sowed the other day, so I just want to do them as a backup. I've got some lettuce to sow, some pak choi to sow, some corn salad, which is also known as lamb's lettuce, some broad beans which I'll sow outside, and any leftovers I'll sow in here, and some spinach. So I've got some compost that I've sieved here, and I'll get on and plant them, and I'll show you what I've got when I'm done. Here are all the seeds. In this tray I've got 12 stations of pak choi, 4 stations of corn salad with 3 seeds per station, and then 4 stations of lettuce all year round, which again I've got 3 seeds per module, so that should give us hopefully 12 seedlings. Then this is spinach, Helios F1 variety. Just pulling out the parsley. This is Elsa Craig onions, which I just sowed all the leftover onions I had after I sowed my other 2 modules of onions there. So these are all sort of 3 seeds or 4 seeds per cell, and this one is probably about 10 seeds per cell. But what I'll do with these, I'll just grow them as spring onions instead. And here I've got 4 of those broad bean pots, so hopefully they will grow as well. And then I'm going to go and plant the garlic for today. I've got, my neighbour gave me this variety, which is I think just organic from the shop. Then this is Solent White that I saved from last year, and this is Marco, I think, from last year. So I'm going to sow them along with some broad beans. And this is the area I'm going to sow them in. So in my last vlog you'll have seen that my children planted some broad beans at the top. So I'll just start the garlic from sort of 2/3 along, coming this way. And hopefully I will get around to planting some more broad beans, a different variety of broad beans, and I'll get on and do that now, and I'll probably do a montage. So here we go. So that's all the garlic planted now, and at the top I've got 2 rows of beans here. The rest will be garlic up to where my parsnips are now. I've also got 2 garlic in this Swiss chard bed, which is also growing onions from last year. I think I haven't planted them there, so they've self seeded, or they're just onions that I didn't dig up. And I've also got 9 garlic cloves in here too. My next big job I need to do is to sort out these sprouts, kale and purple sprouting broccoli. So I think it's safe now to take down the netting. I don't think there's any more cabbage whites, and I need to get in here and do a really good weed, because it is looking quite weedy. Take away all the yellow leaves, of which there are a few, and then you can see through the net in here that some of these are not looking great. So those plants, there's the sprout plant here and there's this kale plant here, that it's just not worth keeping them going. So I'm going to get in here and do a really good tidy up, take the netting off, because that will help for harvesting in the winter, and I will bring you back when I'm done. This is the sprout and kale patch now. I have taken a couple of plants out that were looking very dodgy, and I've left a couple of plants in that are looking very dodgy. So there's this sprout plant here that I'm in a bit of 2 minds whether to take out or not, because, well, if you can see from the top, it's not looking ideal. But then when I was looking at the sprouts, they don't look too bad, so I wasn't sure if they would grow very big, but I thought I'll leave them in for a little bit longer and see how they're doing. And similarly with this plant next to it, this one actually looks worse. This one has got quite a lot of black on the sprouts, which kind of makes you not want to eat them. And then in sort of like comparison, I've got this really good looking sprout plant with some sprouts that are growing really well. So make of that what you will. I've tidied up the purple sprouting broccoli, and whenever I grow purple sprouted broccoli, I'm always reminded of how untidy it looks when you grow it, and I really dislike how untidy it looks. I'm very much sort of, I want things to look neat and, you know, be tasty to eat as well. And similarly with the kale, I think I took 2 plants away that were similar to the sprouts I just showed you, but I've already shredded them, so I can't show you what they're looking like. But this kale now is looking good. I'm going to leave the covers off because I don't think there's any cabbage whites around at the moment. I also did a good weed, and these ones down here are cauliflowers. This one's looking a bit spindly. I think I'll probably take this one out, and that will give these 3 cauliflowers a good room to grow. Here is my spoils bucket of nasturtium and sprout and kale leaves. The nasturtiums have come from the carrot patch, which is just over here. And I've just been weeding it, so I thought I'd leave it open to show you guys what it's looking like at the moment. It's intermingled with leeks, so carrots and leeks, essentially so the enviromesh would stop the nasty bugs getting in the leeks and carrots. But what I have got is quite a bit of rust on the carrots, on the leeks, sorry. But these carrots have been in since May, I think. I planted them in May, so not too bad. And then you turn it over and it's nice and flat. It's probably split because it's had water, I expect. Where did I see some good ones? There's a good one here. This variety here is Eskimo. I think that one I just took out was, oh, not Atomic Red, not Norfolk. Can't remember now. Oh, look at that. 3 carrots for the price of 1. Excellent. So, yeah, that's Eskimo. And if I come round the other side, don't fall over, there were some good ones here. I think these are early Nants. So I'll pull some of these up as well. I wanted to get these on camera just to show that I do occasionally get a good crop of carrots. Not often, mind, they're usually little tiddlers, but I'm quite pleased with these ones. When I spotted these after weeding, although there's a weed there, didn't do a very good job today. So we'll have those for a harvest, and what I'll do is I'll pull up some leeks as well for a harvest. And I've got some radish in there, they all need to come out. Could do some kale leaves, and there was one more thing I wanted to show you, and it was my buckets of potatoes over here. So I just weeded the tops of these buckets because they had straw on them, and I didn't think that the potatoes had grown at all, and I was going to empty all the buckets and put them away, and then I discovered that a few of them have got potatoes growing in them. So this one here that looks like it hasn't got any potatoes growing, that is actually the start of a potato plant. And then these 2 buckets here, I did have a rummage around and it doesn't look like there's any potatoes growing in there. So I'm going to empty those 2 buckets and put the compost into a bag ready to use next year. And then the rest of these potatoes, which I hadn't counted on growing over the winter, are at the moment going to have to go into my greenhouse over there, because I cannot at the moment think of anything else to do with them, and the weather is getting colder and we will have frost soon, and the frost will kill them. So since they've gone to the effort of growing themselves, I shall try and keep them going. So I'll get on with doing that harvest now, and I'll show you what I've got once I've done it, and then we'll wrap up for today. Here is this week's harvest. There are the carrots that you'll have seen me pick earlier, and some beetroot. There's the kale that I tidied up, and now all the leaves that are left are just ready to be picked whenever. The last of the radishes, and there's some leeks and baby leeks. So the baby leeks are just underneath, and there's a couple of multi-sown thickish leeks as well. And then there's the green tomatoes from the tomato bush I took out. And then these ones are going to go in the compost, because when I looked at them they didn't look very great. So that one is split, and that one is split, so they can be chopped up and go into the compost. So thank you for joining me this week in my garden. I was really pleased to have got my garlic in and the broad beans in and cleared some of those areas, and I'm really pleased to get that weeding done as well. The back garden now looks a lot better for it. And that's it from me for today. Thank you for watching and liking and subscribing and commenting if you have done so. I really do appreciate it. And all I can say about my work around the garden today is lovely job, and take care everybody.